Hey guys, what is up? It's Alexander Williamson here with the secret history living inside of your aquarium. Today we're doing a live stream. Sorry if it's a little slow or choppy. I think the internet's being a bit laggy, but today we have a really exciting topic. Um, I just want to get it out of the way. This may sound a bit infomercially, and if you don't want to hear the infomercial, just look at the description. If you live in the US, the lower 48, look in the description and there's a killer sale for you. But what I really want to talk about is what goes into building a business, how local aquarium stores work, all sorts of details that I've been learning lately. And basically, one of my best friends, his name's Jason, has started an aquarium company. And unfortunately, I've stepped away from aquariums then. Don't worry, Steve and I are still cool. But I have something really exciting that's going on now that I'm pretty excited about. And so basically, I'm going to talk about that in this live stream. We can talk about whatever else you guys want to talk about too, but the information is in the description. It's in the doobly doo down below. And if you want access to, it's crazy. I don't know how, I mean, I do know how he did it, but it won't last long that it's this crazy of a price, but $6.99 for tissue cultures I've seen for up to $20 a piece at local fish stores. He's trying to figure out what the customer wants. You guys are a great test audience. He's my friend. He's not paying me. I am going to grow out some of the tissue cultures so we can take pictures of them and things. And in the future, we intend fully to be creating tissue cultures here in Seattle slash Whidbey Island, Washington, in a lab. And we want to collect the rarest plants, the most beautiful plants we can. And this is the first wave of that is if you go to tissuecultureshq.com starting right now, all his tissue cultivars are $6.99. It's like not a profitable deal really. This is to figure out what people want to buy, what you guys are into, what sells out fast, and it's limited supplies, extremely limited supplies. There's only a handful of each one right now, and then we will be restocking based on that, or he will be. It's his company, but I want to tell you the story of how we got to this point. But that is the info. Somebody says it's showing up as $8.99 right now. That's correct, but if you enter the code Lucky7 and follow the link in the description or enter the code, you'll get $2 off that. So it will be $6.99 instead of $8.99. $8.99, $9.99. That's probably, I'm gonna be honest, that's probably the range that it'll have to settle in. But I'm gonna tell you guys, I said, Jason, I want to come along and see what goes into this because Jason is a friend who I met through this channel actually. I'd been talking to him on this channel and we ran into each other at Aquarium Zen of all places. So shout out to Aquarium Zen guys, right? But they have tissue cultures. There's a few people in town that have tissue cultures, and I live in a huge city. I mean, we've got 4 million people in the metro area. And we only have 3 or 4 shops that carry good tissue cultures. Petco carries like 3 to 4 species at a time around here, and they're not the best quality. And they're not good looking either. Like once you grow them out, they're very generic. So, what's different about this site? How have I been helping Jason? What has gone into this? This is going to be kind of what we're talking about today. If you guys have issues that you need help with your fish and stuff, that's fine too. We can get into that. Before I jump into this kind of crazy story about how we went down to the airport, we went through ordering things from all over the world. He literally has plant cultivars, cloned plants. So say this orchid won first place at a festival, and this orchid was a mutant. There was only one of them that was ever of its kind ever existing. Well, with tissue cultures, you can literally take that exact DNA of that plant and you clone it, and then you can pass it on, and that original plant's still alive. So we were able to look for, that's where I came in. He said, Alex, what are some cool plants? What are you looking for? What do other aquascapers, what's getting you guys excited? And you guys can drop him a message and tell him, dude, I'd love it if you carry this or that. Nobody has a tissue culture of that. Our goal is to get tissue cultures that are rare even in Europe and Asia, to get them here into the US at a price that's even under that of plants that are in the US. And I said, this isn't my business. He's not paying me. But for that service to the hobby, he is a really stand up guy about his morals and his business ethic, his work ethic. And so I know this sounds a bit infomercially, as I said, but tissueculturehq.com is going to be set up. So basically, we will be looking for plants all over the world. He already has been to Indonesia, to Singapore, to, all throughout Southeast Asia, China. He's been through, the Middle East, Afghanistan. He's been through, not that the Middle East and Afghanistan are the same place. I get it, guys. Sorry if anybody was worried about my geography there. But he's been all through Europe, Eastern Europe, former Soviet countries. And that's part of the story today. I spent all day yesterday with him, kind of getting the story out of him. And I have a bunch of footage of it, which will be released in video form that's edited. But I wanted to launch this sale for him. It's a test sale that only you guys, there's no advertising out or anything. Only this channel has access to it right now. Only you guys know about it on YouTube. And we're going to find out what plants you guys like. And it's a killer deal. And basically, yeah. And so Alan says, getting the story out of him sounds like there was violence. Yeah, I had to twist his arm a little. No, Jason's a really personable guy. You're going to meet him in some interviews we did. We drove a few hours through traffic and all sorts of stuff through the industrial part of town, then to the airport, to the USDA office. We talked to the officers who go through and rip apart your packages and look for beetles and bugs. And guess what? They're tissue cultures. There's no beetles or bugs in these ones. So they were really excited about that. And they happen to be aquarium hobbyists too. So they were all oohing and awing, like, I've never seen this plant come through our office ever. And they wanted to know what storefront to buy them at. And we were like, it's going to be online, dude. Sorry. But because of that, that means that if you live out in the middle of rural Wyoming, these are for you, Please, by all means, I don't want to push any local fish stores, pet stores out of business, other online sites, whatever they're doing. A lot of people do good jobs. What we discussed yesterday is his vision is to have the best from, be it, Tropica or UNS or whatever cultivars are out there. And a bunch that he has sourced. He has literally flown across the world and talked to people face to face, checked out their labs, checked out where they're growing the original mother plants and things like that. And he's just tracking down stuff that we've never seen in our hobby before. Obviously, he wants to carry the tried but true stuff, Monte Carlo, Chainsword, Crips, things like that. But I mean, down the line, we'll be seeing a bunch of really, really rare plants. And he actually has a section at the top of the site that talks about specifically rare stem plants. So, I mean, right now he's got, let me think of a couple of the things that are on there. Yesterday, we unloaded these boxes that are in the thumbnail, and they're just these beautiful trays. If you are like me and you're an aquarist, hobbyist, and, you like looking at plants and things, these cups came in from Europe beautifully. And if you know anything about the hobby, Europe and Asia have been quite ahead of us in tissue cultures and in a lot of hardware and stuff for quite some time. And Jason said, you know what? Why? Why is that the case? Why is there a monopoly between a couple companies that don't seem to have a passion for it in the US? You know, so there's people trying in the US for sure, but no one's broken through as the one, and nobody's had the ability to, like ADA, great tissue cultures. They come over on a boat to San Francisco, then they're trucked up to Seattle to aquariums in, and if someone sells them online, AFA or something, then they have to be packaged and sold months after they were first grown. And it's just what's in their catalog. They don't even ship half of the good stuff to the US, as I found out when I worked with that stuff. And this is like, why not go past that? Why not go around that? Why should that limit us? And Jason was like, Alex, you want to give me some input on this, and you want to watch how this goes down. It's new to him. It's new to me. I mean, he's a business oriented guy. He's a smart guy. He's a tech guy. But for me, it's kind of a new end of a new side of things. I've seen how pet shops get wholesale stuff, and I've seen how nurseries and things like that, where they get their plants from. I'll be going to Florida, as you know, next week, actually. Wow. Tuesday night we leave. And down there, I hope to film for you guys, maybe even live stream, some of the really cool stuff that goes on where they grow plants, not as tissue cultures, but they grow plants in a nursery there. And they grow it out in the sun and everything. Well, these plants are tissue cultures, so they're exact clones. You take a piece of the plant, you cut it off. We can go into this later, and I have a bunch of detailed videos for you guys where we talk about what is a callus. So a callus, just like on your foot, a callus. You take a bunch of plant cells that are stem cells. They haven't decided what they're going to be, and you can take those from the plant. That's the most beautiful rose you've ever seen in your life. You can take those, cut it off, and with basic hormones that are naturally in the plants, anyways, you can extract those hormones or synthetically make those hormones, and then you can trigger it to say, you're going to be a stem, you're going to be a leaf, and you're going to be the bud, and or whatever. Or you're going to be an entire plantlet. And then in the media, it grows out. Then you give it nutritional media after you've separated it into pieces from that, and you get the DNA from the plant you want. And it's a bit involved, but it's also more simple than you would think. And this is where I come in again. He and I are going to be playing around with doing our own tissues cultures very soon also. I've always wanted to do it as a hobby, but in the meantime, I mean, why break something that's not needing to be? Why try to fix something that's not broken? Europe has incredible tissue cultures. It's just you have to buy it from, and no offense to the way the system is set up in the US. I don't mean to step on feet or anything, but you may have one huge importer and they get container ships of stuff in. They give it to one wholesaler. The wholesaler gives it to distribution hubs or other wholesalers that are smaller. That goes to a regional, even more specific distribution hub, or maybe a pet store that then also can supply smaller pet stores for 50 miles around, or delivers, or through the mail. And then from there, that goes on to websites and so forth. Now, everybody wants their cut. So Jason was like, well, why don't I just go to Asia? And, they have the best. You think Rotala, Vietnam? Where do you think the best Rotala, Vietnam comes from? Where's the brightest, most purple with the pink, like faded buds? Where does that come from? Vietnam. That's where the cultivar was born. That's where it was refined in the hobby. So why wouldn't you go there? And basically, he's met the right people. He's done a ton of research, enough to like, he sent me stuff and I was like, whoa, there's like a 700-page manual of how to import plants and things like that. And so I went along for the ride. You guys will see that video. It'll probably be a couple videos split up. But basically, I want you guys to be our test market. You guys get an opportunity to get these things that basically right now for this short time only, check them out. See, there is stuff that I have literally never seen, even in Amazonas magazine and stuff. There are plants that Jason got that I haven't seen, and there's a whole bunch more coming where that came from. He has really cool this one pot that I'm sure is going to sell out, the cup that's going to sell out instantly, where it's Monte Carlo and AR, like Alterna Renicii, in the same cup. So there's like, I mean, there's whole new ideas coming out in other parts of the world. Like, why wouldn't they sell you a cup that looks like Lunchables and has a bunch of stuff in it and it's cheaper, smaller portions? Boom, your aquascape's there, you know? Why is that not possible? Why isn't someone doing it? Well, we're saying, why aren't we doing it? And right now, I've recovered from, if you've been following the channel, I was struck by lightning. I have an autoimmune disease. I mean, I don't want to go too personal into Jason's life because it's his life, but he also has some health issues with autoimmune stuff. And so him and I really bonded over, that joint pain, the blistering on the skin, and just that toll that takes on your life and how it runs you down. And sometimes you think, my dreams, like, I don't have the energy. Like, I'm treading water, and he has a family, an awesome, I won't go in, I'm not going to say any details, but basically he has an awesome family. My wife and I are friends with them. And he's just an all around good guy. So that's enough talking up Jason. You guys can figure him out and you'll see him in videos. But what I wanted to tell you is that there is a person behind this project. There's me also. I'm not making any money. As I said, I want to make that clear. He's not paying me anything. I am probably going to get some tissue cultures at some point. I'll buy some too. I'm sure he'll help me out at cost maybe for a couple things. Maybe, Jason? No. So, but then we're going to grow them out. We're going to get, so say three companies or three labs, one in Asia, one in, say one in Singapore, one in Taiwan, and one in the Czech Republic make Rotala rotundifolia just green. Old school, normal culture. Well, just because it's the same plant doesn't mean it's going to grow the same. One could have been separate for 50 years in the aquarium hobby. One could have had a mutation that causes its stems to spiral. One could have variegation, for instance, where you can see all the veins and the textures on the leaf in a different color from the others, or albinoism, or things like that. Now, usually that stuff, when it's serious, gets caught. But when it's minor, it doesn't, and it makes a difference. If we can get the Rotala that was out of one of Takashi Amano's tanks, one of the most famous Oliver Knott tanks or something like that, if we can get a clipping of those plants, we can clone them. So it's not far out there. It's not a crazy idea that we're now putting out feelers. And if you guys have a plant that you think is rare and crazy, you've never seen in the hobby, but exists and it's a great plant, let me know. Let's talk about it. Talk about it in the comments. What's the plant that right now it's $50 a piece or $100 a piece? Crypnuri. Why is that $40? It grows at the same speed as other crypts. We can clone it. So you have to pay the people who are real people that have a family and they have a life. There's scientists or hobbyists like us. You have to buy the equipment for a completely sterilized room because tissue cultures, as you know, no snails, no algae. They can't have fungi. They can't have a bunch of bacteria. Everything has a little bacteria. But you have to do it in a clean room, like, NASA does a clean room or something. It looks pretty space agey. And you got to suit up. You got to have a laminar flow hood or a working box where you put your hands in it and work in there. Sorry, I have allergies today. But, it's other than those costs, getting that up and running, it's just time and energy. And Jason and I, plus I know a lot of you guys, we already put the time and energy into the hobby because we love it. We track down plants. I'm going to Florida to dig around in the Everglades with alligators and with I'm not afraid of the alligators. I'm afraid of the mosquitoes and bees, honestly. I'm a wimp when it comes to that. I don't mind the snakes, I don't mind the frogs or whatever. I don't like tarantulas and I don't like bees because I'm allergic, and I don't like uh leeches. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna be trying to collect, Florida rotala, rotala floridensis, Carolina, Bacopa carolinus, Cabamba carolinus, things like that. That, yeah, they're in the hobby, but when you see it in the wild and there's just this bush that's just growing out of control compared to all the other ones, why wouldn't we take a clipping from that and clone it? Why not? And then right now, what we're doing is let's turn this around. You guys have seen enough of my mug. So right now, we're literally putting these plants in our tanks. This is almost all cloned plants right here. We're putting them in our tanks. We're growing them out. We're figuring out, okay, which ones do best with what lighting, which source has the best this or that. And that's where I'm helping Jason. And I feel like I am of use. Uh, but we will be teaching ourselves a lot of this. Mr. Science Geek says, "Do you know how long this sale will last? Will it last through the night so I can do research on species?" Yes, it will, you guys. This sale will be going, I think, until the 28th of April. So you got a little bit of time. But honestly, the supplies are super limited, and I would not be surprised if tonight they sell out. Like each species only has, like, I'm gonna be real with you guys, 5 to 10 right now in hand. Now we're gonna get more, but we have sources in Europe, Asia, America. We still believe if it can be done in the US, let's do it in the US. If it can be done by hobbyists, for hobbyists, if we can take some of the proceeds and give that back to the hobby, to tanks for teachers in schools, or whatever it may be, we like helping real people. And we both agree that a lot of people have taken the plant tissue culture model, and other than hobbyists, a lot of people took that model and they said, I want to make money. That sounds like I can just cut up plants, and if they're $40 for a pot of that stuff, I'm going to charge $40 for a clone of it. Well, our theory is if it's $100 for the original, it'll take some time to make the money back. But why not like democratize it and get that plant to you guys? Let you guys grow it. Let you guys take care of it, and maybe it's $12 or something. Cryptocorneering, we're going to be able to do that. We just found out that source, and and there's variations on all these plants too. So a lot of times you think you know a plant, and you just don't have a good source. And that's what's really exciting about this to me, is that's the goal. We're basically trying to be an artisanal seed bank, if you will, in his company, and I'm helping, and that's why I keep saying we. But this is not my day job. This is nothing like that. He is putting his heart and soul into it, and his family's putting their support behind him. So that's why I'm helping him out. That's why I believe in this. I believe in it because even if I didn't know the guy, if I thought it was a good company, this channel's not just for advertising, okay? I don't have any official sponsors who pay me like on a regular basis or anything like that. I've featured people who give me free plants and fish. But if there was somebody who could make tissue cultures for $5 in a couple years from now, and that's possible. If this works, we can do that because of bulk. I mean, it's got to level out somewhere around there because the materials simply just cost money. And you're spending hours and then weeks growing the plantlets out and things like that in the medium. And you need space for that. You need lights, electricity, warmth, so on and so forth. But why not dream big? Maybe in a few years, if this works out well, we can bring that price really far down. And then that way, you want to you want to aquascape your aquarium. Uh, why shouldn't you be able to do that for $80 instead of 800? And that's the kind of savings this could add up to very easily. I mean, there's plants he's got that I don't know how to pronounce the names. I don't know, like I've never seen them before, but I'll see them once in a while. Others of them on there. You guys go ahead, look on there right now. The links all below. But a lot of them have names I've seen in, like, when you see a beautiful picture of an aquascape online and it lists out the species and you're like, oh, they got some species that only lives on one island off of, or one part of Okinawa, and it only blooms when, the crow is high in the sky and the tide is low and the wind is coming from the west, whatever. Just like a lot of plants that don't flower unless, some plants won't flower for a decade or whatever. They need the right, like a monsoon, they need some sort of cue in nature to propagate. Well, tissue cultures get around that. They're not sexual reproduction. They're not even grafting reproduction or anything like that. Tissue cultures are cloning, and there's nothing like GMO-y about it either. These are, you take the plant, we're using chemicals in the system that exist in the plants to trigger plants to grow, and there's no crazy mad scientist tweaking going on about that. And that's another reason I like it. I'm sure that's coming soon. I'm sure GMO aquatic plants are coming soon. But yeah. Um, let's see here. Do you know how? Well, we shipped to Scotland. Unfortunately, right now I don't think he can ship outside the country yet. This is literally like the first whatever, the first anyone's hearing about it. And I said, I'll do it on my channel. We'll use a live stream as a chance to do that. And why not? I believe in this. I want it to succeed. I'm going on a trip here to get more cultivars. Anything I bring back, that'll go to Jason, and hopefully we can get people in the labs to, make it into something for us. There's constantly new stuff coming and going. But the really cool thing about his site is he's decided to forego big profit and he's hoping for volume. Basically, he's hoping and not being greedy, honestly. I mean, there's Bucephalandra cultivars and things that sell in tissue form, and you'll find them for $30 online. Or you'll see them on Amazon and it'll be from somewhere in like Romania and it'll say like $12, but shipping and handling's 30 or 40 or something insane. And that's for Bucephalandra, or Anubias, something that grows really slow, months of growing. Well, to us, that time will have to factor in to his company because it takes up space and time. However, if it's something that can be done in 4 weeks or 8 weeks, just like whatever else, just like if it can be done, like if Crypnuri can be done just as well as Crypwendaddy Brown or Spiralis or Corkscrew Val Red, or Loganandra Me Baldy Pink, whatever. If those things can be done just as quick as one another, why should they be so much more? And there are reasons for premiums, but when you're not taking it out of nature, we're making something out of nothing. So that is to say, think about Indonesia. This is another reason why I want to support this. Think about a lot of areas that are currently becoming deforested. They're becoming logged, illegal logging's going on, gold mining. illegal harvesting and poaching of ivory bill birds down in Malaysia, Indonesia, Borneo, Sumatra, and those things, once you have them killed, they're gone. Plants are different. They're different. It's not even like a zoo. It's not like you collect it and then it's gone from the wild. We literally need a sample like the size of, I'm trying to think of something small enough. You need a sample a millimeter by a millimeter or something like that. And it can grow an entire plant that is identical. So, say you have a whole old growth uh, stone face wall in Sulawesi, out in the middle of the jungle. People have trekked out there. You see this beautiful old growth, incredible purples, violets. Let's get some inspiration from some real plants. You see, okay, you see here. This could be this right here. Yeah, that's a bucephalandra. Well, the same boost up here has all sorts of different colors and intensities in things. And that's because it's just a better individual plant that was selected out of the herd, basically. Somebody saw the potential in this one and saw the yellows and the golds and the reds and the angelfish. No, just kidding. Look at that. That is the same plant, literally, as this boost. They're the same species. They're both brownie ghosts, and they're in the same tank, but there are differences. So if I were to cut the cells that I need for a culture off this in the wild, I could cut this piece here, any place where there's a transition. And I'll have these videos coming out soon to explain the science behind all this because that's what this channel is about, right? Is how this stuff plugs into the rest of the world and the science behind it. So, any place on this plant where there's a transition. So, if that is where the root turns into the stem, the rhizomes turn into the stem, or where the stem turns into the leaf, or where the little bud is growing of the new leaf that's being grown on the tip of that, those cells, that's all we need. All we need is this little piece right up here. You put that in a sterile collection container and you bring that back to Jakarta, a couple days through the wood, through the jungle and everything, and you get that to a tissue culture lab and they can turn that into that beautiful section of the plant that had all that crazy potential for all those colors and things, that maybe the far end of it is 200 years older and it doesn't have that whatever it is. Plant cells age, and with tissue cultures we have the liberty as hobbyists to decide, do we want to reset that or not? I mean, an old growth tree, if you've ever been in the presence of a beautiful old growth forest, one of these is not like the other compared to a cedar tree planted 10 years ago or 50 years ago even. The actual substance of that plant is different. Things like growth patterns. When moss is young and it's taking hold, it's at a certain age. It has triggers just like puberty or hormones. And it's just taking hold. Once it's been already an older plant, it's been on it for a year or two, it can start to grow out in these patterns and in these beautiful layers and things. And I'm not saying all of this can be determined or taken care of, but a lot of it is actually controllable by the way you do a tissue culture. And I had no idea. It's taken a lot of research and a lot of talking to Jason and other people. I've been talking to a lot of experts, and Jason has become quite the expert. He's worked with this in the past as well, and I've worked with propagating mushrooms through tissue culture cloning, basically. But you can say, like, I want to take that growth pattern, that age, and oh, hey, thanks, Capside. Sorry guys, I was just reading some of the comments. I've been a bad boy and not catching up on things. I'm kind of excited today, if you can't tell. I literally got some first dibs, and so it won't be affecting you guys, but I was like, I take my money, please, Jason. I want this, and this. So you guys will be seeing some of these new plants. And he's getting even more. Like as we speak, he sourced more. This guy is a wild man. He stayed up all night after we hung out yesterday and we ran all over town. And as somebody said, you spent hours in traffic. Did that mean you got like a half mile through Seattle? Yeah, Seattle has terrible traffic. This guy lives out on an island on top of that. So you have to take a ferry, then drive. Stuff comes on a plane. It may have taken a train from the center of Europe to a hub where it's mailed out onto an international plane. Then it comes into like JFK. Then that goes to Denver. And then that comes to Seattle. Who knows? Like, this stuff has been all over to get to your aquarium. And I think that that's really crazy, really beautiful. But it also creates a footprint. And we said, let's try to limit that footprint. Let's try to make this stuff sustainably. And I know I keep saying we because I feel caught up and I feel like I want to be a part of this. It's his company. But we as aquarium hobbyists, you guys need to help us, or I would love it if you did help us. Let me say that. And point out what the heck you want in this hobby. What plants that you've never seen before on tissueculturehq.com. What plants are you like, holy cow, never seen that. I want to get that. Go in there, buy it. That will tell us. This deal is not going to last. He's still going to have extremely inexpensive tissue cultures compared to everyone else in the US currently. Like literally, nobody's carrying the tissue cultures that he will have in the US. Like he's talking to people in labs in different countries. Now, what's really cool about that is that, so for instance, and I've talked about this in other videos, but let's use a Kribensis as an example. So Nigerian Red Kribensis, they are found in West Africa. Now, naturally, they are kind of a pretty fish. You know, they've got different colors that show up when they're spawning. But breeders for the last 60 years now have been encouraging like the crest on their back to become orange even when they're young. You can see that their belly turns purple. Obviously plecos have been manipulated so that they have yellows and spots and green and red and all these colors. Well, those things happen because of morphs. And so you may have one mutant and it you want to make sure that it's a mutant that can function. And with animals, there's the problem of that fish mutated randomly and it turned yellow, and that's awesome. But maybe it can't handle digesting protein, and therefore they all die, and that takes a while to find out about the strain. Well, with plants, there's less detail or less genes to worry about failing in a way that's catastrophic. So as long as it has its chlorophyll and it's producing, you know, the ATP and all the other subjects we've talked about in past videos, and it's doing its oxygen exchanges, its air exchanges, CO2 exchanges, you can have a yellow morph of a plant or here's like a Thor's hammer. So this plant, there was literally a Java fern and it split off in this funky pattern, and one did it out of thousands, and one did it at the nursery in the Netherlands, and they pulled it aside and they were like, that's awesome. Same with Valsinaria. They've had one that turns, you know, metallic crazy red instead of green, and it turns. These are mutations that sometimes they don't work out, but when they do and we see that it's good, we can literally take that mutation from that one plant. You don't have to wait for another fish like you do with fish or shrimp or whatever. You don't have to wait for its match. You don't have to wait for another mutant. to make a sexually reproduced offspring, you can literally clone it and pass it on. And then that clone can grow and you can clone that. And with the technology we have now, there's actually a hormone that naturally occurs that can reset the growth. It's like reverse puberty for the plant. So even if the plant was 100 years old and they only lived 200 years in the wild and whatnot, we could also say you're in your young form again. These are all tissue cultures in here too. And the really cool thing about tissue cultures that Jason taught me and I wanted to pass on today is just like an educational thing, a promo thing, and take it for what it is. So yes, Pink Flamingo, that's a great one. Ludwigia inclinata pontonal. Yeah, he has. He also has Ludwigia Atlantis, which is a crazy beautiful one. It has gold in it and stuff. He has Senegalis, which is crazy. Senegalensis, really hard to find. Uh, it's just awesome. Scotty, how's it going, buddy? I have Vesuvius that doesn't swirl. It grows straight like Val. That is weird, dude. I had some Vesuvius growing in here not long ago, but I think that my catfish pulled it up. They like to pull loose ends in this tank. And I want to go downstairs and feed some fry, some betta fry, and some other fry for you guys. But my internet connection is really, really slow for some reason. So I shouldn't tempt fate in this broadcast. I'll do another one another time, maybe today even. These guys are up to no good. They want to party. But yeah, the cool thing about tissue cultures when you do your reading is that they are taken. So you cut like this is Logonandra me Baldy pink from Europe, and it's all speckled, and from the right light it looks golden and pink and then green in the center. Right now it's kind of dark in here so that the glare isn't super bad, but it's growing new leaves. So say you took a razor blade and you cut right here, right in there, and you got a nice little sliver of tissue. Put that in a thing, give it special hormones and sugars and vitamins and minerals, and that all of the sudden will cause it to grow into this lump. And those are called undifferentiated cells. That means they're stem cells. If you guys remember the big argument back in the day about whether stem cells should be legal or illegal from humans and animals and things, stem cells are magical in that they, in plants, don't have a cell wall. They have, basically, they are an amorphous, just haven't been told what to do yet, and they have the potential to be anything. And they can produce cellular energy, and they have the DNA, they have the potential that the cells, potential for doing for using their chlorophyll for photosynthesis many times, but they just haven't been switched on and told you're going to be a root and you're going to be hard, you're going to be stacked this way, and you're going to grow this way. And so we then, as scientists, we can trigger that cell and we can say, you know what? You're going to be a full-grown plant, or we're going to start you over and you're going to be a young plant. Well, we grow those. Sometimes you put them in what's called a bioreactor, and that keeps things sorry guys, I'm reading stuff. So you look at things and you put them in a bioreactor, and that can keep things moving, and so that mold and other things don't grow. But basically you end up with this stuff that then you can inoculate. So it's not seeds, it's not sexual reproduction, it's not roots, it's every kind of cell in the plant. And from any cell, in theory now, we're not going to be doing it that way. We're using calluses, which we'll go into. We talked about it in depth, and I'll put that video up later when it's polished and edited. We were down by the airport and in traffic, so you can imagine lots of planes interrupting dialogue. And I just wanted to talk to you guys and get it out there. So, like right now in Seattle, everybody wants hydrocotyle verticillata. It looks beautiful, and it's gone up to $20 a little cup for it, which is pretty crazy. When it started at like $5.99 in certain places online. That lasted for no time. That was for like the small cup. Now it's 10 to $20 everywhere I look. So, or suppliers just don't have it. But you can take that, you put it in a gel media, and that's agar, like a Jello stuff, and that's agar, and then you put it into a grow room type thing, where basically those cells keep splitting and growing, and you get a plantlet, which is a baby plant that's just like its parents. And if you wanted to, for like saving a tree that's been damaged, you could just grow leaf tissue by giving it the hormone signal that leaves make for that plants make for leaves. But we'll give it the hormone for become a plant, do your thing, and it will grow, and it will have that old growth, beautiful growth formation that it's gone through, and only happens once it's settled in and it gets that signal chemically and it has those structures. So when you put it in your tank, you don't have to wait around. It's already halfway between immersed and submerged when it's a tissue culture. And that's why tissue cultures don't melt as badly as immersed plants when you buy them at a pet store or a nursery. By the way, I see that there's a super chat, and I wanted to thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. The money that you save, if you want to help me out on Patreon, or if you want to drop me a super chat, that always means a lot to me. It helps the channel keep going. As I said, I'm heading to Florida, and if you are still watching, that means you're awesome. That means you're one of my favorites. And if you live in the Florida area, drop me a message about when you're available. I would like to meet up with people, and I would like to, if I can, bring some presents for a few fans. So drop me a message, or on Facebook, you can find the group, the Secret Living in Your Aquarium, or Aquatic Secrets in Your Aquarium, or Instagram. And we'll get together, and we'll figure out a day that works for people. I already know I'm meeting up with 3 people in St. Pete, and that will be on Wednesday, the first at 10 o'clock in a town called Ruskin, because I'm going to the aquaculture laboratory from University of Florida. And so shortly after that, we'll be meeting up and chatting and going out to look for pygmy sunfish nearby and try to ship some of those back to Washington. All right, so we've got Betsy. I don't know enough about plants to help. Not that I don't want to help, but I am enjoying my tanks more than rare. Yeah. Let's see here. I mean, Anubias Nana Snow White is $110, is what someone says. Mr. Science Geek. You're totally right. That's what they're selling it for. We don't believe in that. If we can get it for that and then sell 1,000 of them, and it only takes the same 8 or 10 weeks to grow to the point where it can be sold, it's going to sell for the same price as a Ludwigia. That's just how it is. I mean, if there's more involved because it's albino, and sometimes albino plants need more nutrients, they need more root energy because they don't have the ability to photosynthesize in some cases. And so when they take a tissue culture, let me show you something. When they do a tissue culture of something like that, I have an example that's great right in here, if we can get it. All right, let's see here. This plant right here, if I can get at it. Come on, plant right here. Where are you, plant right here? Oh boy. Oh, here it is. So, This plant right here, this is Anubias snow white. And you may think to yourself, Alex, those look like totally normal. Let's look over the ground where it has less to focus on. Alex, those look like normal green plants. Well, there's a reason for that. If we took the cells from just the green, you may end up with just green. This is what we call a chimera. This has two different sets of DNA. It has a DNA set that is for albinism, and a DNA set that is for the green. And everything else in the DNA is the same, but several traits are different and they're living in the same organism. If you want to look up chimeras, there's all sorts of crazy science fiction and crime whodunits, but it happens in people where their blood versus their hair has different DNA, or their eyes versus their skin has different DNA. So, in any case, this Snow White started off all white, and then it started sprouting green. And that's because I probably didn't give it enough nutrients from the bottom, and so it needed green photosynthetic light. Well, if we wanted Snow White, Jason and I could take a cutting off this rhizome here, and it would be pure white because it would literally be that tissue being reproduced, and then it has the genetic info to reproduce the rest of the plant from there. If we wanted variegated, this happens to be a unique plant that I got from Han. This was selling on his website for $150. Luckily, Han sent it to me for free as a thank you. But this variegated speckled plant, sometimes called pinto, I don't know, it has a bunch of names. But it has both sets of DNA, whereas this is the other, normal DNA that isn't mutant. And so it's just kind of interesting. We could produce any one of those traits off this same plant. And so in the hobby, they haven't really been doing that a ton. And so we said, with the ability to not just snip this off and have to wait for it to grow out and then snip that and wait for that to grow and pass it on, takes forever. Why wouldn't we start a ball of that protoplasm, of that callus that I talked about, cells, from this little cutting, and we grow it out in the lab in good conditions with nutrients and vitamins and everything it needs. And then once we have a golf ball sized lump of it, we cut that into 500 pieces and start with one little smear in an auger and say, all right, now give it the hormones for vegetative growth. And it takes off and it starts growing. And we say, now you can be a whole plant. And so just that albino grows. Well, it may be, though, that the albino can't grow on its own. So that's when you have to go back to the drawing board and say, well, maybe variegated works. Or maybe we need to take a sample from right here where these two meet so that it's actually a chimera still. And if it needs energy from the light, it can grow green cells still too, instead of just white. Because this would need to be under natural sunlight all day long to stay stark white, which makes it a great plant. Whereas some albino Anubias, it just simply dies after it's born. After the mutation occurs on a leaf or something, it dies, and that's that. So that's why you have to be lucky and catch these mutations and these different changes that happen naturally. You have to catch them and do something about it. But it takes too long to grow them out and then pass them on. So why don't we clone them? It's the future, guys. All right, so let me get some more questions. Before I answer any more questions, and I love that you guys are hanging out and chatting, and thank you for joining. Again, I'm a broken record. Broken, but tissuecultureshq.com, like headquarters. Go there, use the code LUCKY7. You get $6.99, $7, tissue culture cups. They're the size pretty much of like all tissue cups that you've seen on the market. They're in nice polypropylene containers that are nice and rigid. You can reuse them for stuff. I use those things for feeding my fish and for actually putting substrate in them and then growing different plants in my tanks again. But I mean, you can reuse that. It's strong enough, so it's nice quality, and then also it's all sealed, so there's no risk of pests, just like all tissue cultures. There's nothing special about that fact. What's special is that we're trying to keep an extremely low price for hobbyists. We are hobbyists. All the labs that Jason has talked to, the people who do the actual work of cutting up the samples, going out and finding the samples, all that kind of stuff, they're hobbyists. They're nerds like us. And it feels really good to be promoting that. Whereas, I've promoted a lot of great companies and friends in the business, Lucas Bretz and Rob over at Aquatics with his shrimp. And he's really like he buys wholesale and then he sells. He used to breed, but it feels good to like literally know the story of the entire means of production down to the workers in this village in Romania, or if he sourced them in Singapore, the old man who's 70 and he was into bonsai and now he's gotten into doing iwagumi aquascapes, and different types of moss are his favorite now, like spiky moss or flame moss. And he actually looks and trims that specific stuff. Stories like that, in theory, are what they get me smiling, and they make me say, Jason, that's a really cool project. Like, I want to support you. Check it out. Now, we aren't in the business of genetic engineering. I know there's lots of different opinions on that. We're not right now, anyways, because I just saw a comment that said, could you make albino salvinia? That would be awesome. I think that would be hard because it likes light so much that it actually stays out of the water. It floats on top. But that would be genetic fiddling and engineering. Now, if someone finds some that exists in the wild already, yeah, we could take that and take it to a lab. Um, right on, Ginger. Ginger said, "Well, I just bought enough to get free shipping." Uh, so that's great. Yeah, you get free shipping at a certain point with stuff here. I feel bad. I don't remember. I think it might be $100, $75, whatever it is. Check that out. And the other thing we're gonna do is grow out tissue cultures. That, like, say we had something and for some reason it just wasn't a hit. We got some rare plant, nobody's heard of it, and everybody was like, I don't know about that. Uh, I will be helping Jason grow out some of the stems, selling them locally to friends and hobbyists, giving them away, whatever. But hopefully he'll have those available for really cheap also, which is just yet another angle of why this is a really rad endeavor he's working on. Let's see here. Is there a link? Name of the website? You relate to chat? Yeah, it's all in the description. Um, let's see here. Lucky 7. Yep, that's the discount code. Scottish. Oh, he's got to go back to work. All right, good to see Scotty. Check out Scotty's channel, you guys. John Gonzalez, what's up? Dirt Gaming, hello. He says, I have some Lindernia rotundifolia variegated. Wow, Bucephalandra Catharina red, both of which I've never seen in tissue cultures. Well, let's talk. Leave a comment, remind me of that. And I don't know if, we're going to be busy. I'm going to help Jason with some of this stuff. I just want to make tissue cultures for fun, right? For me and for the channel. I think it'd be cool for you guys to see how we do it. But there's labs that know what they're doing, that have already dialed in, like, it needs this much of this hormone and this much of this sugar and this much of protein, that kind of thing. This long in stasis, this long in its growth cycle. And all of that is going to vary. And so you'd want to talk to somebody who's grown boosts before. Well, luckily, Jason has made some crazy connections. So, yeah. And the website is sorry, guys, is Tissue Culture HQ. All, no spaces or anything. HQ is just the letter H and Q, and then .com. The link is down below. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so people keep saying I'm confused. The plants are 8.99. What's going on? That's the normal price, which is still crazy cheap. Like that's so crazy cheap. How could he do it for $10 or less? Like to me, I've only seen them for 11.99, 10.99 and up, and that's it really. Most places. There's a few spots at Petco where I saw something for like 5.99 once, and it was a bag of goo that had rotted, and I couldn't even tell what plant it was supposed to be, so that clearly didn't work out for them. But yeah, the code Lucky7 is there, and it'll be working for a few days. And yeah. Do, 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 do. The other thing I want to ask you guys, if you haven't yet, if I entertain you, am I amusing like a clown? Am I funny? Funny how? Funny like haha, like a clown? Do I amuse you? If so, please like and subscribe. Yeah, we've got 32 people watching right now, and that counter's always wrong. I don't even listen to YouTube anymore. You know, I say, YouTube, slow your roll, bro. You don't alert my viewers who have the bell clicked. Apparently, if you subscribe and you leave, log out of YouTube, and then you come back and click the bell in a different session on a different device or a different day or whatever, apparently you get more alerts. Why doesn't YouTube just let people get the alerts that they signed up for? I don't know. Who knows? Sorry, guys. I'm sorry it works that way. It's really frustrating. Yeah, someone said they just got the notification about this. But yeah, if you guys could, oh, hey, Blake's Aquatic. How's it going, buddy? If you could, I would really appreciate it if you guys share this info with friends. We're trying to test out this site. It may sell out tonight, honestly. I don't know. It's a deal I've never seen before with plants, some of which I have never seen even in plant form, let alone tissue culture form. Capside, Alexander, any way that I can get involved in this? I have a knowledge of botany, bio, computer science, also have aquarium hobbyist skills, and I have photography skills as well. Uh, Capside, message us. I don't know, because it's Jason's company, but you can sure get involved in my channel. I'd love to talk to you. I always talk to folks who are interested in the hobby, who are doing creative things in the hobby. I will promote, if you're listening and you guys have an idea for a project and you make it a reality, I think it's sustainable, good for the hobby, comes from a good place. I will promote you for free. I don't take payments like that for that, you know. I just want to use this platform to the people I have. You know, I want to thank you guys for the 5,000 subscribers I have and for the now over a million views that videos have collectively gotten. That's really awesome. But it's minute compared to a lot of things going on. But I am more than happy to try to spread these messages of cool things going on entrepreneurially, scientifically, and whether that's, you know, you bred something that's really cool or you have a plant that's really cool, you're starting a local company. I want to help the hobby thrive, survive, and do its thing, and I just hope eventually it'll come back, you know, my way in good juju. uh, Yeah, Bentley, as Bentley said, you don't need cutting edge equipment to do this. It's actually quite simple. You just need to keep things super sterile. That's the hard part. Honestly, I've done this before with mushrooms and things, fungi, and that's the problem is you think you got the cutting and everything's great, and then a week later you're like, cyanobacteria is all I'm growing. So that's a little bit rough sometimes. Uh, Tetra Keeper, baby plant, doot 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 doot, baby shark, doot doot. Oh, Capside, you're also in Seattle. Rad, dude. We need to hang out, chat. Let's get together. I don't care if it like I don't know what Jason has to say about anything, but you know, whatever. Check, hit me up on Facebook, like Betsy said. Thank you, Betsy. You are the moderator from heaven. Yeah, Bentley also vaguely lives in Seattle. He lives down south where the airplanes come from. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Mr. Science Geek still. Oh, Bob Kaler, how's it going? Sorry if I'm not keeping up at all with all these things that have been said. Oh, bye Bentley, you left a while ago. Angel Destiny 9. I found this channel, so I'm curious about whether you have international shipping. Sorry if I've already asked, if it's already asked. No, no problem. We don't right now, and it may be possible, but I just have a feeling it's going to be like $30 and not worth it. Plus quarantine papers. That's what you guys are going to see video of in the future is like we had to list out, and by I say we, I did nothing. I came and I laughed and I filmed at the USDA, but Jason had to go overseas, learn all the rigmarole, the language barriers, every single place he's been, figure out, the conversion of currency, and then figure out like their laws and what they can send out and what's invasive, what's native. I mean, if you're talking Russia, maybe they don't have tropical invasive plants. There's no problem. They can have anything. But if you're talking, let me make up someplace, Vietnam, then yeah, they're probably going to ban a lot of tropical imports that aren't native because they could go crazy and take over. Patricia, hello, welcome, Water Wizard. Um, Water Wizard asks, why did you stop the collaboration with aquariums then? Um, Let me get real with you guys for a minute. Uh, I was really heartbroken to not work with Aquarium Zen anymore. Uh, Steve and I are still friends, and I still appreciate all the work he does. But when it came down to it, there were literally just two cooks in a small kitchen. I tried to follow his lead. I really tried to be a humble learner, share information that I know with people coming in and try to help them with their problems with fish and algae and whatever. However, when it came to talking about doing big displays, sales, YouTube, he was afraid that I might have a side project like this one, which he was right about. I mean, I have side projects where, I may help a friend's company that is technically competitive. I mean, granted, my friend's company would sell to him and he could still sell for retail for less, and my friend's online and doesn't have a storefront. So it's a really different ballpark, but uh, he felt that down the road he wants to have a YouTube channel, and I was there partially to help him, just to show him how to use YouTube. And he doesn't know how to do the tech stuff or the social media much. He's had to have help with that, and he's had a lot of stuff going on in his life, personal life, that's stressful. It's tax season. He finds he can get college kids to work or high school kids to work for him. And he was kind of at first confused. Like, we're friends and I hang out there, and I hang out so much there that it's like, why don't I just give you a job? Minimum wage in Seattle's $15 an hour. After taxes and stuff, it's like $12 an hour. So it wasn't a career for me. I mean, that's just not sustainable. I was there to learn from him as a really accomplished aquascaper and to see how a pet store works from behind the scenes, to see the distribution and to see, the dark things, the light things, the stuff that I thought was going to be weird. I thought there'd be dead fish every day, and it was a conspiracy. No, the fish are fine most days. Some fish do die once in a while, but it was a really well run shop in that respect. But he was afraid that down the road there would be some sort of competition and it would hurt our friendship. And basically, that he couldn't provide benefits or pay me a bunch of money for the job, and he didn't know why I was there. Which I was a little bit like, man, why didn't you ask those things before I started? And I was a little hurt or saddened, I should say. But I've talked it over with him, and it will still be my go-to little shop in town for fish and plants. Well, now actually, Jason may be my go-to spot for plants because plant tissue cultures are what I like usually. There are some exceptions. If I'm working on someone else's tank, I want a full, sword fern that's big, and so I would buy from him. But for tissue cultures, I will probably be buying from Jason. Jason is a pretty, really, what's the word? He's a perfectionist, honestly. And so he had some tissue cultures that came in, and a couple were like slightly brown. And he was like, this is not going out to customers. There's no chance I want my customers to see anything less than exactly what I would buy. If I had 20 of them and I was looking at them, I want it to look like the best one there. It has to be that good. And so, because things can happen in shipping too, with like a couple days in shipping, and then it hits negative 20 degrees because somebody left it on a loading dock or whatever. Like, stuff can happen anyways. So he wants it to be perfect when it leaves. And his standard is higher than mine. I have to say that. I would have been like, hey, dude, it's like two little plantlets out of 40 have some yellowing going on, but he's being real strict with it. And this is the start of it. You'll hear more about this later. You'll see more videos about this. And maybe we can expand to shipping overseas. I say we just because I'm helping him with this stuff, and because I will be hands on helping him in a venture to collect rare plants and propagate them. We want the hobby to be able to save Bucephalandra, to be able to save crypts, rare plants that are getting taken out by human development and pollution and industry and things like that. Yes, I think there's a place for harvesting in nurseries and allowing local people who already survive via harvesting things like booze to still make a living. But if it's not done sustainably, or it's going into national parks and protected areas, we need to work as a hobby with each other to stop that. The AGA, the Aquatic Gardeners Association, has actually banned all booze unless you can prove that it's been grown in labs. If it's a tissue culture, there's no question. We can get the rarest booze and we only need one. We don't even need to kill the plant. We don't even need like a chunk of the plant. We just need a little teeny snip. Thank you, Kathy, for saying you like the hairdo. I actually cut it a couple weeks ago. I got a bug up my nose, I guess, and I just decided to go downstairs and cut my hair because my wife was complaining like, your hair's getting so long. Um, yeah, let's see here. Tilapia Store. What up, Tilapia Store? I'll be in Florida on Tuesday, and I am going to go to the aquatic aquaculture lab, which is really cool. I got invited there. They're working on stuff like fish, live bears that don't multiply for too many generations. Like maybe they only multiply for 2 or 3 generations so that they don't take over. Because if you think about it, one guppy having 30 babies, in one generation, that's 30 babies. In 2 generations, that's what? Say that's 15 of those 30 babies. Each have 30 babies, or each have 30 babies. Then you're getting to like in the hundreds. And then you get, by like the third generation, you're at like 9,000 fish. So they want to stop Zika virus and things like that, and actually like airdrop live bears that eat mosquitoes into different neighborhoods and things. And so they're working on crazy ideas like that. They've also gotten a bunch of fish to breed in captivity that normally we would take from reefs and things. So on the saltwater front, they're doing really cool stuff. Tetra Keeper, your boost flower, that's awesome. That is such a good feeling. It's hard to get a boost to flower sometimes. Yeah. Is it my cell phone? A lot of chats have disappeared. I don't know what's up for fun, RC. Tetra Keeper, I don't know what you're saying about Florida. I heard that you're going to Florida. I saw that. What else are you trying to say? I've already said that I'm leaving for Florida on Tuesday. Oh, you want to try to meet me? It might be you're going to the Keys. I'm going to be in Tampa, and I'm going to be in Gainesville and Ocala and St. Pete. So those are kind of the places I'm going to be. And yeah, but I got to round off this podcast or podcast. This isn't a podcast. Um, I want you guys to drop info in the comments. If you guys have a rare plant and you're like, I'd love to see it in the hobby, and can you guys get it? Drop a comment. Do me a favor, since I'm passing on this deal, we're just trying to see what people want. That's what Jason's trying to do. It's like barely at cost, this deal he's passing on. But that being said, that $2 difference between the normal price and that will be his profit in the future. That's how, I mean, that's crazy. That's really, really kind hearted for hobbyists, by hobbyists. He has another job that he will be working. His wife, other people. Hopefully, we can step in and keep it going. But that's the dream: is to really get that, that going, because tissue cultures, they're the wave of the future. They're the cleanest way to do stuff. They get through customs and borders and things really easily because they're all sealed, and they can last for a month or two until you decide how you want to use them and things like that. Capped side, do you have any pictures? I am not sure how healthy mine are. In my opinion, their color is so vibrant, but I don't know if they are true, if they have true potential. Yeah, so uh, that's going to be up to, if you're using CO2 highlight, if you're using all the ferts rather than an all-in-one fertilizer. There's something that's right for everyone. Some people just don't want to overthink it. They'll get some easy green. Other people want a bottle of elemental potassium, a bottle of elemental copper, and they're going to measure out a teeny tiny amount, or they'll mix a thing themselves. For me, it's somewhere in between. I like to, with my plants, I like to use the ADA system or other systems in conjunction with it, but get my minerals, my nitrates, my potassium, and my micronutrients and things like that. And I add a squirt a day basically in this tank, and that works out pretty well for me. But the problem is, if you add 2 squirts, or the lights on for an extra 3 hours because you had company over and you wanted to show them your tank, or whatever, then you end up with a little bit of algae or whatever. Now, I wouldn't have any algae if literally all these plants were tissue culture. I would not have any blackbeard algae. I wouldn't have any hair algae. I would just have whatever algae is inherently in the air, in the humidity of this place we live. Uh, let's see here. What do I think of Easy Green? Easy Green is pretty good if you're following the rules of low stock tanks. Like, if this one's pretty low stocked at the moment. It used to have 60 fish in it in a 17 gallon, which was fine. It made the plants amazing, but I really had to change the water a lot. I had to watch the levels of things. You can see pictures of this tank on my Instagram. But yeah, let's see. Speaking of CO2, does DIY work or not? I would not do a DIY reactor with with yeast in a thing. If you like this, Sunny Cal, if you like this tank and the pinks, this is doing a terrible job of giving it justice. Go to my Instagram or the Facebook of the group, and you will find how bright pink that these plants really are. You can kind of see it better up here. YouTube streaming is just garbage as far as the quality of color fidelity goes. And I got a new light. I got a twin star light. So yeah. But in any case, the last little story I want to tell you guys is why I think tissue cultures are cool, and what Jason and I discussed that's going to be something really, really special about his company and the project we're embarking on. And that is, for fun, RC, the CO2 on the tank, yes. I have a 2.5 pound canister that I fill every 6 months. I have it on a bubble every 2 seconds of CO2. And then I use my own ferts. I used to use Easy Green, but that doesn't work right now with my stocking load. I get algae too much. And Easy Green, it has a lot of nitrogen in it, which just isn't what I need. I actually want to starve this tank of nitrates to get these bright colors. And some plants, you get bright pinks and things when you have high iron. Others, you starve it. And so I've set this tank up to have all the same kind, where they're all like low nitrates with super low iron, gives them brighter color. Whereas the blood red plants, the Rotala rotundifolia, or like Rotala macronda mini butterfly, that the deeper reds you'll want, usually you'll want to have like actual iron in high level for that. But every plant's different, and so that's what it's about. Is figuring that out. Sunny Cal, yeah, I like Twin Star too. I usually can't afford it, but um, I gave myself a goodbye present from Aquariums, and it only lasted 3 weeks. I'm gonna miss it. Tell him you miss me if you come into the store, you guys. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was just the last note I'm gonna say on that was it just he was afraid that the YouTube channel was gonna, I'd say something about the store and hurt the brand he's worked his whole life to create. Nothing like that happened, but he was afraid that it would hurt our friendship, and he just doesn't like social media that much, and he wants to have his own presence on social media, and he doesn't know how to go about it. He's gonna hire me again to train him how to do that, and we're still gonna try to collaborate on aquascaping projects. But it's his store, and he wants to run it his way. He said I was helping customers, loading them up with all the stuff they needed for a tank, and I'd spend a half hour with them. They'd drop $500 and have everything they need for a beautiful aquascape tank or something. But to him, he wanted to do it in his way. And him and I have a little bit different style. Mine is a little more, I want to give everyone their time, get things taken care of. I'll hop back and forth between ideas, thoughts. If someone needs a fish really quick, I can grab that. But I wanted to take care of folks, and that's what I try to do on my channel when people ask for help and stuff. Is I try to answer quickly if I can, and if I can come back to it, and they leave me a message like I say in the comments, or personally message me and get my attention because I missed some of it. I'll spend my time because I care about people. I really do. I'm in this hobby. It's right now it has the potential to move into a place where it pays the bills if I start doing this tissue culture stuff. And it's going to require me hoping for the goodness in people and hoping for the hobby and coming together and supporting each other in our ideas, because I'm not going to ever go at it from the point of view of like, let's do a deal where we sell 500,000 tissue cultures to Walmart's pet section and I get to make X amount, or, whatever. Not that that's about to happen, but uh, I don't have the business mind for this. I have the mind of, let's make this work for the hobby. And if it's free, that's great. I kind of have that internet freedom mentality. As an artist, I never charge people to use my artwork. If they put it on shirts they're selling, I'd like to get a little cut. But if they want to put it on a shirt for themselves for free, go ahead, guys. That's flattering to me. And my wife, it drives her nuts because she's like, "You're going broke because you just let people use whatever." And to me, if everybody did that for each other, we wouldn't have to pay for so many things that require heart and soul and passion, and it would be a better world. It really would. Um, so last thing I was gonna say is basically that in in the aquariums during the Cold War, I have videos about this. One's called Check It Out, like the Czech Republic. CZECH. Check It Out. And it talks about how basically after World War II, they were worried that young men in the Czech Republic, Yugoslavia, these former Soviet countries, they were afraid that they, with their idle time, that they would uprise, that they would plan insurrections, try to kill, assassinate people and overthrow the government, which sometimes they did try. And they'd be brutally crushed and they'd kill all their family members, whatever. It's history. I don't want to get into the politics of it. Everybody knows that like Stalin was kind of a harsh dude. Um, but what they do in these Soviet bloc countries is they would encourage people, especially educated people, to keep fish because it mainly sucked in males or kind of tomboy girls. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that stereotype existed in those cultures, but it did. It was the same exact demographics. It was professors, it was students, and 30-year-old men uh, that had been educated and cared about like health, fitness. They actually did all these reports on it, like why aquarium keeping was a dangerous demographic. So what they did is they built a bunch of community centers and they encouraged them to keep things. And their soldiers, when they were stationed in places like Angola or Cote d'Ivoire, and they were arming these guerrilla groups and things. And they had scientists looking for minerals like plutonium, uranium, iron, copper, whatever. And in South America, arming different militias, while the U.S. backed the fascist militias in different countries or Vietnam. They'd bring back fish, and so like apistogrammas, um, beautiful catfish from South America and angelfish were brought back in the 50s and 60s, handed over to these cooperative clubs. And basically, people, after they were done with their job every night, they'd spend a couple hours in a basement of a community center in specifically Yugoslavia, Czech Republic, and they would then work on breeding the most beautiful fish possible. And they had these really crazy expos in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, early 80s, where they would have competitions. But none of this stuff ever made it out of the Soviet and or Chinese communist world, and maybe Cuba, but I doubt it. I doubt they ship fish over there. Uh, Wall came down in the let's call it 1990. It was 80 89 really, but let's call it by 91 that the Berlin Wall had come down. Communism in the Soviet bloc countries, a lot of people had started to try to make democracies, or at least the satellite countries had fallen apart from the old plan. And so a lot of these community centers were repurposed for other things. In that time, though, people also did get into aquaculture, especially in certain countries where food was hard to find. They would get into raising things like tilapia, and then they'd have green beans or peppers or things like that growing out of their fish tank. And they learned to have extra food that way when the food rations were low. And that way it was kind of like, entertainment, and you could display your stuff. You can watch my old videos on that. Long story short, they did the same thing with plants, guys. And now there was a long period in the 90s where everyone was like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And things got lost and people sold off things. They sold off government, tanks and buildings and inventions and laboratories and stem cell cloning equipment for plants got sold off and thrown away and stuff. And, a few people stayed true to the hobby. There's these older folks that just have incredible fish and plants, and we're getting a hold of it because Jason, that crazy man, his work already makes him travel for a bunch of stuff. Crazy man rents a car and goes into, two countries over in Eastern Europe, and he finds two cultivars that we haven't seen in the Western world and that have been worked on since the 1950s. That's the kind of story that can happen that's the potential here. So go to tissueculturehq.com, use the code LUCKY7, and like lucky number 7 because everything's $6.99. And there are stem plants you've never seen. There's the good old reliables, and you guys are voting what plants you want by what you buy. And that's really what this cast is about. there'll be a video out of us jumping through all the hoops and red tape, which really wasn't too bad, but about how you import plants and how they're like, there's no beetles in these plants, are they? And like, for some reason, there were a dozen cats hanging out at the USDA department. Like, they were feeding them outside, and it was like in this weird, creepy warehouse district. And I don't know. It's kind of a funky story, but I just wanted to share this stuff with you guys. Please share the link. Obviously, Jason's going to know all of this traffic's going to come from this video, and that's why we're testing it. This is a test audience of people who are interested in aquatic plants and tissue cultures. Maybe you've never tried it before. Try it now because you will not find it cheaper. I mean, I dare you to look. You might find a smaller package of something similar on sale that's at an inferior price, and it's in like a blister pack or like even like one of those packages you hang on a rack, and you're not going to find a cheaper deal. And these are like high quality cups that are, I don't know, however many ounces, but awesome, Capside. Congrats. You'll enjoy these tissue cultures. Watch my videos on how to prepare tissue cultures. I put one up recently, and then I'll be uploading some more on the nitty-gritty details of what hormones and stuff are used and kind of demystify it. There's nothing spooky about it. There's nothing like crazy mad scientist about it. It's pretty easy in theory. It's just getting the proportions right. And I think more people should be into it. The US, we've been laughed at by Germany and France and Portugal and Taiwan and Beijing, Tokyo, big cities around the world where aquascaping it is seen as a very respected art form, and they have access to a lot of this stuff that we don't, and we're 15 years behind on a lot of things. Let's change that, guys. Check out what's on his site. And I've got more historic stories for you soon. Message me about what plants you'd like to see in tissue form on here. Leave comments also after this on if something was sold out already, which I am guessing that by now stuff is sold out even during this live cast. Put what you would have bought, and act on this quick because he's just doing it for this as like a census basically. They're still going to be super super cheap compared to all other people online, and it's going to have the diversity of every corner of the world that has aquatic plants. Literally, like any distributor that's out there, he's talked to him and said, let's make a deal and get these cultivars, get these clones. And, it's pretty crazy. He's happy to work with anybody who, has a good system going, a quality product, and respectable business practices. So, all right, guys, I know this was infomercially. I hope you learned something in the process, had fun watching it, and I hope you can save a bunch of money and get some killer plants. Feel free to post pictures of those plants. He would love to share those on the website later. Just see how everything grows out, because we have not grown out all 300 varieties that we could theoretically order from some of the various sources he has. So, let's figure that out. Let's buy enough, you guys, that we can order all 300 and keep them in stock, and then, then we can all have access to it for dirt cheap. All right, guys. Didn't mean to be so preachy, but I will be in Florida on Tuesday and around there for like 10 days. My buddy Ben, who never wears a shirt, he's taking care of my fish. Thanks, Ben. I hope he knows that. I'll talk to him. And he'll probably be living at my house during that time and eating everything in my freezer also. Thanks, Ben. But yeah, not a ton of fish in this video. I have a ton of baby fry right now of Batis, of celestial pearl, of all sorts of funky critters that I picked up from Steve at Aquariums. And he had lots of tanks where fish coming in would lay eggs, and I collected every single one I could and put it in my little tanks. So we'll have some videos about that kind of stuff and get back to history. And I want to get onto the history of different fish again, get into some more editing. Since I'm not at aquariums, and hopefully I can spend some more time editing or filming, getting information. Right now, I just talked to the guy who literally had the fish that mutated into a green dragon pleco, the first green dragon pleco owner in the world, and talked to the guy, Greg Sage, and then also later Eric Bodrock, people who refined that fish. I got some killer stories on that too. It's not what you think. They're not just bristlenose plecos. I had no idea. They're another type of pleco, not just an ancestris. They're like an L143 mixed with an ancestris or something. I'll have to get the details straight because we've been emailing. I've been talking with professors, and there's so much more coming in this channel. But to have the time to do it, I really need your guys' support. And look at Patreon if you haven't thought about it. Even $1 a month really helps because it's reliable. I can put that towards cameras, filming equipment. When I go down to Florida, we just dropped $400 on a waterproof camera. So hopefully we can film underwater, collecting plants and killifish and pygmy sunfish. And yeah, so thank you again, guys. Thanks for joining me. I hope this wasn't too preachy. I know I've said that a lot, but check out, uh, you know, the plant tissue cultures, tissueculturehq.com. Check them out. All the other people who've helped out the channel sent me things that I think are good companies. Aquatic Arts, Han Aquatics. Han has the rarest stuff you'll ever find. A lot of stuff can't be tissue cultured practically. Stuff that's truly aquatic has a hard time being tissue cultured as we know it right now. And buy from Han. And there's discounts for all those groups on there. Feel free to use those and enjoy. Help each other, inspire each other. Let's build this hobby, keep it going. Planted tanks all over. It's not that hard, you guys, and this makes it even easier. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Patricia. Capside, I look forward to talking to you and meeting up. I'm in Ballard. And have a wonderful night, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your critters. And I'll be around. Let's share this link and get my buddy sold out. Let's he's got 5 of each or 10 of each depending on what it was. Let's sell them out so he can figure out what's what, get in more, and we'll have $8 tissue cultures at our disposal just like that. And that is a savings of $8 from what I was paying for certain booths and other plants. So pretty cool. And there's a lot of potential to have new combo packs. We could actually figure out, like, let's do 3 types of rotala and a ludwigia, or a carpeting plant and a crypt, or 3 crypts, a purple, a pink, and a this. That potential is there. Let us know what you want. Comment and so on. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for hearing me out and all the